So it's, oh, we're live. This is the magic phrase of the evening. We're alive. In case people you haven't noticed, we've been alive for so many years now. But maybe if we keep saying it every evening, we're going to acknowledge that. So, good evening, everybody. For those who are in Europe, good afternoon, those who are someplace else. Good morning to those who just wake up. Grab a cup of coffee, a good wine, glass of water, whatever, and let's have a an inspiring conversation that will, take most of us from a brilliant idea to an actualized reality. And yes, this is for those of you, I should include myself in that, who need those 1, 2, 3 steps to get to action. Because let's face it, we have so many ideas, dreams, and whatever. And when it comes to actualizing what we have in our heads, that's kind of a tricky stuff. So tonight, in Europe, I have the pleasure and the excitement to invite Fay Thompson. Hi, Fay. She's a certified facilitator of access consciousness, but most of all, I invited her here because she has so many stories, and there is one about a moose that is loose. So, Faye, before we start, allow me to just tell people that we already had a very, righteous discussion before we entered here. Yes. Because I presented you as a helicopter pilot. Yes. I said that you were in the army, but you were in the Navy. I mean, for some of the people, this makes a world of difference. For me, it's like, oh man, same rules and regulations everywhere. Now, you were all geared up in a picture that I saw with you in a helicopter. So to me, you're an helicopter pilot. And you so much wanted me to know that it's not true. And I was like, you know what? To me, you are a helicopter pilot. So what do you have to say about that, Faye? Who are you if you're not a helicopter pilot?
Well, I guess who do you want me to be? That picture was so great because it was from a time when I was in the Navy in my years ago, and I was part of the first group of women who went on a warship to see how women and men could sail together. So it was kind of like a pilot project. And
so you were a pilot?
Well, on a pilot project, yes. I would not recommend you get in a helicopter with me and let me drive. Just saying.
You could drive.
It would be an adventure for sure. And we were on that ship when I got on. So it was like 30 women, 300 men, and my supervisor took me for a tour of the ship, and one of the things was the flight deck, and I watched the helicopter come in while we were cruising along, and watched the crew land the helicopter when the ship was moving, and it's quite dangerous and kind of amazing to watch. And I was just enthralled, and I just went, wow, could I get a ride in the helicopter? And he's like, well, I'll see, and like the next day I was out with the search and rescue team doing all this search and rescue helicopter stuff. And it was so cool. Such a great day.
It was very easy.
Oh, well, this is the funny thing, is that when we landed and came back, one of the men on the ship was disgruntled. He was not very happy. And he said to me, I've been on this ship 9 years and I've never gotten to ride in the helicopter. Like what makes you so special, kind of thing, right? And I just looked at him and I said, have you ever asked? And he had this deer in the headlights look of, what? Oh. You didn't get chosen? Like you just weren't picked up? No, I just asked. And so I wonder how much of, what a great metaphor for life. Have you ever asked, right?
Have you ever asked? And thank you for this. Thank you for this, because we have these ideas in head. We have all these dreams in our, like this man. And we we somehow wait for some other people to grant that, or the universe to grant that. But if we don't ask for it, how is the universe supposed to know whether we want something or not? Or, I mean, it can happen. It never shows up the way you would expect it, but it starts with a question.
Yes, always.
Oh. So,
So
Faye,
simple.
from the Navy career, which was how many years? Just for my fun.
13.
13 years in the Navy.
Yes.
Now, I learned. I learned. I didn't learn. No, that's not the right word. And I'm getting there. Why I'm choosing words. You kind of started your own path with something that used to be a dream, and now it's an actualized reality. And there we get to the moose. What's the moose? Why is the moose loose? Can you say more about that?
Well, yes. The Moose that I think you're referring to is Big Moose Publishing, which is a company I started a couple of years ago. I had written a couple of books. I had gone through self-publishing with other companies, and I had found what worked with that and what wasn't so good with that. And then my next book, I did it myself. I figured out how to do it myself, and I went, wow, there are so many advantages for an author to do it a different way. And I'm like, wow, I could offer this to people. And so I just went, yeah, I'm going to do that. And literally, I just kind of put it out there saying, I've created a company. I can help you publish books. You'll get all of the big thing for me was for authors to get all of their royalties and their books at cost, because all the other companies were taking about 50% of your book royalties and charging you to order your own books. So putting an extra fee for you to get your own books. And I thought, well, shouldn't an author be able to get their books at cost? And so yeah, that was it. That was literally it. I just put it out there, and then an author showed up.
Yay!
And
this is, but
yeah.
wait. Before the author shows up, so first there was this request of you that has to be an easier way. Is it true? Is this how I should rephrase it?
Yes.
Because
no, that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so first there should be an easier way. Then, if you were to look at the 1, 2, 3 steps, where did you start? Where did you actually start? Because I know from myself, from my experience, I also went through the same, pretty much like willing to publish and all this kind of stuff that piles up from publishing houses, and then you go publish yourself, but then when you're doing it yourself, to me at least, it was an experience of controlling pretty much everything that was happening there, and my creative drive kind of, so my question to you would be, how did it enhance your creativity starting on this path? What was your driver? What was your what was your fuel? What the warm wind under your wings?
The warm wind under my wings. Probably the moose. That sounds bizarre. I know.
Okay, tell us about the moose. We have to know about the moose. Why the moose?
So when I decided, okay, I'm going to make my own publishing imprint, I need a name for it. And I was thinking, okay, what should I name it? What should I name it? And I thought of all sorts of things, most of which were already taken. And I somehow wanted to honor my mom, who had passed, but I didn't want to use her first name. Like, I didn't want it to be just directly named after her. I started looking at things. I thought, okay, what represents my mom? And she loved meadowlarks, which is not a moose, but anyway, she loved meadowlarks, which is a bird we have here in Canada with a beautiful sound. I don't know if you have them where you are.
I wouldn't know how to picture it, but it's a bird. Does it sing? Does it sing?
It's absolutely a more beautiful song, which is probably what it's known for. And I'm not going to try and recreate it. and, but that was taken. Meadowlark Publishing was taken. So what came to me was this memory of just after my mother had passed. I was in the car with my kids who were really young at the time. And this moose, this big moose, literally walked in front of our car, which is a rare sighting, you know? And I was just mesmerized. And I had never seen a moose before, like in the wild like that, you know? And they're majestic. I don't know if you've ever seen a moose, but they're enormous. Like they're this enormous animal. And after we saw it, my daughter says, "That reminds me of Grandma." And I realized it was like a gift from my mother.
Aww.
And like it was my mom saying hello in a way, right? And so I was like, that's it. It's Big Moose Publishing. And I got all giddy about the name. And like I just knew somehow that Moose was the right name. Now, I also in my previous training, I had done some apprentice work with a shaman, and in Canada, in our First Nations or Native American traditions, the animals have meanings, you know? And so I looked up what the meaning was for moose, and it was so beautiful. Like, and it's about, oh, sorry about that. It's about how a moose, when you look at a moose, they look very awkward and gangly. You know,
Kind of.
They really do, but at the same time, they have massive grace. They can walk through a forest without being totally silent.
Wow.
So they're this mixture of contradictions. They're big and awkward, yet so graceful. They are enormous, like you can't miss them, and yet you will only see them once in a blue moon. You know, they're majestic, yet they can be invisible. And I just thought, wow, this is so beautiful. It's like all aspects are represented by this animal, and that's exactly what I wanted for authors to be able to put out into the world, this difference that they are. Because we are all of these sort of contradictions, and it makes up the whole of us. And to express that and celebrate that. And so yeah, so the moose is something that keeps me going, and sort of is the wind beneath my wings. And I think my mom helps a lot too. But
so thank you, Mom, from there, wherever you are. Yes. But there's something that, you know, like I know a lot of people who would like to publish their books, and I know a lot of people who had brilliant ideas about how to publish them. But somehow, for some reason, there is a missing link there. And there's this, okay, so if I were to ask you, in this process of publishing, or in this process of bringing your creation into the world, what would be the tool to use when you feel like, okay, I'm facing all these walls, I'm facing all these expectations, this is not going anywhere, what would you tell people? What would you tell, you know, like the writers who are there and somehow those beautiful books stay unwritten? What would you tell them?
This isn't going anywhere isn't a question. That would be what I would say.
Ouch!
Where is the question in that, right? Is it time? Is the book just letting you know it's coming, or is it time for it to come?
This is wow. This is so. It doesn't mean that if you have right now the greatest idea for a book, that the book is also ready to to be on paper. And this is somehow clashes with the belief that I heard that, oh, if you have it, then it has to come on paper. So will you say more about this?
Well, will you say more about this? What do you mean by that?
Because to me, it was once it's there, it has to come on paper.
Oh, yeah, no, not necessarily. The book might be just letting you know that it's coming, and you need to ask the book to tell you when is the time. Because I know for my first book, I knew it was coming, and I tried to write it many, many times, and I got nothing. Like, I mean, it was painful.
Oh, is this the writer's block? You know, the famous writer's block that you start writing. Like if anybody else is starting another project, now we are with writing and we are both fond of writing. But if anybody else starts another project, is that moment when you're like,
and it wasn't until I asked, is it time? And I got, nope. And so I went, when? And all I heard was, or knew sort of, I don't know if I heard it, but was, you'll know when. So stop trying to force it. And one day I woke up, literally, it was like, oh, it's now. And I knew when, and I started to write, and it just flew out of me. So easy.
I'll hook you on two things. Like, you said when you chose the name and you felt all giddy about that, like, tick, 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 and then you said, don't force it.
That's right.
So what is the link there?
Well, it's interesting. When I made the publishing company, Big Moose Publishing, I didn't force it. I just made it and sort of put it out there. And it was probably a few months before the first author came. And actually, I was a little nervous. I knew I could do it for myself, but I wasn't sure about, could I do this for other people, especially, you know, when people pay you, things like that. And I just went, well, and I almost tried to talk the author out of it. Are you sure you want to go with me? No.
This is so funny. Okay, let me stop you here for one moment. Okay, so so how much significance did your moose take on the big how do you call them, horns?
Antlers, yeah.
When it came to actualizing and being paid for whatever you put into the world.
Yeah, and I got, no, well, we're doing this. Okay, let's see. And I just started. You know, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And we just started, and it was such ease and such fun that it was like, okay, who else? And I do very, very little sort of advertising, and people are just finding me, you know, from wherever, and it's so fun and so easy. Yeah.
That it's so fun and so easy. Is there any moment when you felt you should push through? You know, I was educated in the, how should I say, in the push through. Whatever comes, you have to push through. How about you? Have you had any moments like, now I have to push through it? Or was it really question and opening up? And
I haven't had really any moments of push through with the business, but with writing, yes. And usually what I would do is I would, when I write a book, I commit to writing a book. So every day I sit down to write. And the thing I find with writers that stops them the most is they want to get it down perfect. They want to say it perfectly. And let that go.
So wait. No, we are not letting that go. What you just said.
Go.
So this is striking, because how many of us would like to already start with a finished product and say we made it and we were so right in and we got it perfectly? And when you see people doing that, so I thank you for when you said, if I start writing a book, I commit to it. So would commitment to whatever you choose to do or to make or to create, would commitment be the second step?
I don't know if you need to order the steps, but if you're not committed to making something happen, it's pretty easy to just walk away from it. And there's nothing wrong with walking away from something, but just know that if you're not committed to it, it likely won't actualize.
And don't make it wrong that it's not actualizable right away. It's just maybe you would like to ask some more questions. So you commit to it, you sit and write, and then
every day. And I usually give, like, this is me. So everybody will have their own thing of what works for them. For me, I sit and write every day, and I would give myself, like, I need to write at least 1,500 words. Usually I gave myself 2,000, 1,500 to 2,000 words a day. No matter if it gets used in the book or not, I'm sitting down to write. And often I wouldn't even know what I was going to write about when I sat down to write, but then the idea would come and I'd get it out. And that's usually how it is, a chapter a day or something like that. An idea comes out. And it's funny because there were many times when I was writing that I would think, oh, this is going to hit the cutting room floor. Like, this won't be used. This is crap. You know, your inner dialogue about, oh, this is just crap, but I'm writing. And so here we go. And when I would go back and reread, I would be surprised how non-crappy it was.
Absolutely. So wow. Yeah. This brings me to okay, how many of us judge whatever we have created because we are so afraid that it would be judged from outside? So therefore we start from, well, this is going to be crap anyway, but well, if I commit it, I go with it. And then when you take a step back, you're actually seeing the brilliance of whatever you brought into the world. It could come only through you. There's nobody else who can do it as you do it or be it as you be it. And this is a huge invitation. This is what I see, like, thank you for taking off our shoulders the perfection myth.
Oh, yeah. When you let go of being perfect, actually, that's when you allow perfection to show up. It's like that. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And the other thing, too, one more point, is to let things come out of order. You know, we're so used to reading a book from chapter 1, then chapter 2, and chapter 3, but they often don't get written that way. So if you know that there's this one idea that you want to have in the book and you're having trouble writing, but you know that that idea isn't going to be until later in the book, write it out. Write that chapter now. You can put it in. Yeah, you know, you can put it in, you know, later in the book. There's this great thing called cut and paste.
Very important step. Step number 3, cut and paste.
You can move things around later. Just get it out. Yeah, especially if it's in your head. That's probably it telling you, I need to be written now.
Yes, I need to be written now if it's there in your head. But this is the thing that just explode my universe right now. It's like cut and paste, and you can move things around. So what if we let go of that need of having linearity in the, I mean, has it ever happened to you that you went to the last pages of a book and you read only the last pages and you knew exactly what was happening in the whole book? Did you ever do that?
Yes, I try not to do that. I like the surprise.
But okay, so the thing is, imagine if there was no linearity in whatever creation there came, you could start with the ending and still be curious about where it started and what happened in the middle. But if there's this line of very serious, the plot has to be very perfect, very round, very, to me, it's like I go to the last pages. I, I read the introduction and then I go to the last pages.
Just like,
But
let's
there's,
cut to the chase. Let's go.
and then, yeah, wow, thank you for this. It's just like acknowledging my naughtiness with books. And I'm like, okay, so let me ask you a thing. When there is a book, okay, you write a book, you publish a book, and you've just published one which is absolutely gorgeous. And I was looking around if it's here. It's not here next to me, but
I
it's
don't have
Kalpana's
it next
book.
to your. Yes.
I put it somewhere.
Yes.
But you know what? Kalpana is coming tomorrow. Well, that's my cupboard with
Oh, there
stuff.
we go. Yes.
We'll have Kalpana tomorrow morning for a discussion. But before that, so when there's this book, this gorgeous book, written by you, written by somebody else who published it through the Moose,
Mhm.
okay? What do you do next? I mean, how easy is for you to let go of your creations?
It's super easy, actually. Um, uh, I don't. With a book, you've got to understand. Anyone who's written a book knows it's like their baby,
Like any
right?
other project, if you start on a project, it starts like a baby.
Yeah, and then as soon as it's published and available to the world, I notice this with every new author I work with. It's kind of funny. I just kind of wait for it to show up. It's like this. Oh my! Like this realization that the rest of the world is going to have access to a piece of me that I can't control what they do with that. Right. And it's a beautiful gift to the world to allow people to take what you've given and put into the world and let them receive it in a way that they wish to, instead of the way you've decided they have to.
Oh my god, this gives me goosebumps.
Yeah,
Goosebumps.
and if you want to control how people receive your book, you cut off that possibility. Elizabeth Gilbert, the author who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, Big Magic, I think it's called.
Yeah, Big Magic.
She talks about this. That she's had people come up to her and explain things from Eat, Pray, Love and say, that happened to me. And she said that they'll explain something that she didn't actually put in the book or didn't actually happen. But she's like, who am I to tell them that they shouldn't have gotten there from that? You know?
Wow. And this brings me to another, aspect of actualizing something that's really dear to you. Is like, are we willing to let go of the expectations of what people should be doing and how they should be appreciating and how they should embrace it? Because let's face it, we're just giving them a thread and they are making the lace with it. They are making their lives a jewelry with what started with us. But there's so many times we have this thing, and I'm going to throw in my husband in the conversation. He's working on a project and he's looking at like his little baby, and right now he's not willing to let go of the total control on it. And it's like, where can the world contribute when
Yes. Yeah. And what about the baby? What does the baby want to be? What does your book want to be? What does his project want to be? Because let it go out and grow in the world. Let it show you instead of you showing it.
wow, let it show you instead of you. tracing it and controlling it into being. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for this. It makes me almost cry. It's like it goes very deep with me. I so much hope it's not hope, but I would like
Yeah.
for people to grasp this. So when you know that you're kind of controlling the outcome, and when you know that you're the
Mhm.
boss, what would you do? What would you tell people about that specific, step in the project to get them over that?
Yeah, to release any expectations that you have and to go back into question, right? Like, what could it be that you're not allowing because you've decided it has to be this?
Mm.
What if you had no expectation of it? Like I wonder sometimes if we don't want to control because we've just already decided that if you let it do its thing, that it would disappoint you. So it's a way to not be disappointed.
Ooh, that went deep. That if you, but this is like threads in with the body conversation. What if your body was a project and you let it do its thing, you would be disappointed. Whoa, thank you for this. Whoa, chills on my spine.
And what if it's actually the opposite?
What if actually it's the opposite? Oh my god. Cool. I'll take a deep breath on that one, but I'm not leaving you off the hook because I love this too much. I love this too much. So now, one of the last questions would be, okay, what's the story with the moose is loose?
Oh, the moose is loose. It's funny. It rhymes. It's actually a reference to something from the Navy, in the Canadian Navy, and it's probably within
I love
the.
this. Have you ever written a book about that's happening in the Navy?
No, I haven't. No, I
Yes.
haven't. I don't know if I ever will. Maybe we'll see. But in the Canadian Navy, and probably in the British, in the Royal Navy, there's this tradition at Christmas where you make something called moose milk, and it sounds funny, but it's really made up of a lot of dark rum. Ice cream, different. It's a very potent, creamy, eggnoggy kind of drink, and it's called moose milk. And there's an actual, we call it a pipe or a what?
Draft.
No,
It's a draft.
no. There's an actual like code or whatever. So it's when it's broadcast over the intercom on a ship, you know what it means, and the thing that you broadcast is the moose is loose, and then you know to go get your drink.
Oh, that's funny. So it's actually a celebration, right?
It's a celebration. It's an absolute celebration. The moose is loose. It's uncontrolled. We don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a party. And it's completely allowed, right? Like the captain gives the order for you to go have fun, basically. Yeah.
This is so this is just too delicious to leave it out. So you're actually inviting us to the moose is loose.
Yeah.
Go out, have fun, celebrate
Exactly.
whatever your creation is willing to come out. And you just gifted us some gems in actualizing, which are absolutely priceless. Thank you, Faye, for this. And before we say goodbye, I would really like to ask you, where do these absolutely gorgeous people watching, where can they find you? And
Very
I'm going to
simple.
put all the links in the comments.
Yeah, very simple. It's bigmoosepublishing.com.
Well, that's that.
That easy. And if you want to find me, faythompson.com. But for the
Wow.
publishing, it's bigmoosepublishing.com.
And then I kind of suppose that you're also reachable on Facebook if anybody would like to contact you directly.
Absolutely. Send me a message, please, or an email through the site about anything. Love to chat.
Well, you will hear from me soon.
Yay!
And thank you so much for this intervention in consciousness today. And wow, how does it get any better than that?
How does it? How does
Well,
it? Yeah.
whew, wow. Well, peeps, thank you so much for watching. Now, later in the future, whenever you're going to be present with this topic, and tomorrow we'll move on to the dancing world with Kalpana Raman.
Oh,
Now
she's the
that,
truth. Yes.
I mean, hello. How did I get so lucky to have you all as my guests and enrich our worlds with so much generosity? So, kisses, hugs, and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.